This is not your typical cost of living video. I'll actually give you some of the best pointers of some of the main things that I wish I knew when I moved to Montreal. So this is all about the cost of living of many of the less well discussed or less popular topics about moving to Montreal, but they are definitely essential for you to calculate the overall cost of living here. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Thomas Casarotti and I'm a local realtor here in Montreal on Greater Montreal. I'm at a beautiful park here in NDG, which is one of the boroughs of Montreal, and this is now golden hour, they call it. So basically we have the beautiful sunset that is just in front of me right now, and it's gorgeous. People are outdoors, they're playing actually cricket. Yeah, they're playing cricket. I wish I can turn the camera and show you now, but I'm not there at that level of skill yet. And then behind me, park full of families. This is a super beautiful neighborhood. When we'll be discussing about the top neighborhoods, we'll discuss in detail about NDG. Now let's get to the matter of this video. So we're talking about cost of living in Montreal. And the first item obviously has to be real estate. So we're talking about, we already discussed about prices in a previous video. So obviously pricing is a great element about why Montreal is so attractive to so many families and so many people moving in here. When you buy a house, actually, there are a few things that you need to consider. For example, some of the notes I took is that there are neighborhoods for all the types of lifestyles. So you have neighborhoods that are for the super affluent and other neighborhoods that are for we call them the first-time home buyers, neighborhoods like I am right now. Or you can have single family homes or lower duplex or upper duplex that are actually held in undivided co-ownership. So basically there is a split of the main expenses. There are different type of properties in the area here and in Montreal. But you need to know that whatever your requirement is, probably we have it because there are so many. There are 19 different neighborhoods in Montreal on the island. And then there are many more that are around Montreal, in Greater Montreal, and they're all super accessible if you're actually thinking of moving here. But these are some of the costs that you need to know. When you purchase a property, there is a tax called property transfer tax. And that tax equates to maximum in my calculations, or in your calculations, maybe you can talk about maximum 2% of the value of the property. And the value could be the value that is determined by the price that you acquire it, or the municipal evaluation, if it's whichever is higher of the two. So that's something that you need to consider when actually you're calculating purchasing of a property. Also, we always equate about 1 to 1.5% of all the costs that are surrounding a transaction for real estate. Realtors, for the most part, we have an agreement with the listing agent that we actually split the fee that we charge to the seller. So as a buyer, in most cases, you will not have to pay a fee to a broker. In some cases, if you actually decide to hire a broker specifically for you to actually shop for a certain product, since we have such a lack of inventory right now, then there could be an agreement that is separate. It's not something that is mainstream, let's say. It's mostly something case by case and something that we can discuss if you're ever interested in purchasing a property. If you're shopping for a property, for purchasing a property, the best website in order to work with a realtor is centris.ca. That website regroups all the banners, Remax, Royal LePage, whichever banner, Engel & Volkers, Sotheby's, all the properties are located in that single website, centris.ca. One tip also, try not to schedule your moving or your transaction around July 1st. It may cost you up to 10 times the price to rent a truck or get a moving company around July 1st versus doing it somewhere else along the year. But July 1st here, Actually, people schedule their leases to end in June 30th and begin new ones in July 1st. Even though the moving actually happens pretty much always around July 1st for the leasing market. Another point that is super important that you're aware of is actually the higher income tax we have in Quebec. So you can expect, actually, I have some figures here to give you a rough example, but obviously it depends on everybody's situation. But most of the time, let's say you have a revenue, I'll give you two prices. The first one is the gross income, and the second one is the approximate net income. If you have a gross salary of $50,000 a year, your net will be approximately $35,000. If you have an $80,000 a year salary, your net will be around $55,000. And for $120,000, your net will be around $75,000. And for $250,000 a year, your net will be of about $140,000. So this is important to know, and it's not said enough in all the videos that I found about moving to Montreal. This is essential for you to actually evaluate a monthly budget. Whatever you're aiming for as a lifestyle, better be sure that actually is within the range of your income. Also, you need to understand another point is the sales taxes. So provinces have and national land, they have between 5 and 15% of sales taxes. And it's a combination of a provincial tax, sales tax, and federal, a Canadian sales taxes. In Quebec is about 14.975, 15%, give or take. And this is pretty much, there are some provinces that is a little bit less, but it's pretty much something that all the other provinces catched up to, because it used to be that Quebec actually had the highest one. Another point that I want to talk to you about is transportation. So when it comes to transportation, here we have a super system with subways, which, by the way, we call it metro. If you ever hear about talking about the metro, we're talking about the subway. And you can have a monthly pass, roughly $89. I think it's 88 point something. So $89 monthly pass. Then if you actually want to actually go around Montreal with, let's say you want to go to the island of Laval, north of Montreal, or you want to visit the South Shore, some of the South Shore of Montreal. We call it on the other side of the river of Montreal. If you want to go actually and use the, let's say the bus and the metros stations in those areas, then you need the tram 3, and there are different TRAM for different actually categories of locations. I'm gonna put a map on the system that gives you a very good idea of the different color-coded tram and also the pricing. The one I know is that the tram 3, because I used to use it, I used to buy it all the time, 144, 145 around there a month. And there are more than 60 stations, metro stations, subway stations. There are a new 26 stations that there will be a light rail system that actually they're building now. When it comes down to transportation, Montreal is super good. There are 32 kilometers of an underground city of Montreal with plenty of shops and restaurants. Like everything is in line with protecting you from the cold, which the winters are cold. 1,000 kilometers, and they're adding every year of bike paths. Right here, we see them behind the camera actually. There are bike paths dedicated for bicycles. There are more than 1,000 kilometers now. They add every year. You can actually rent bicycles. There are more than 3,000 bicycles out there for rent, and you can actually pay for the season. So let's say, I think the fee is about $90. You pay about $90 for the season. You pick up the bike in a station. You ride it to the next station that is close to the destination you're going for. Park the bike, and that's it. And people switch bikes. I don't know how it's going to work with COVID, but most certainly there will be a way to actually move around with with that system. Another point I want to talk to you about is utilities. So the main utilities, I always have the comment from people from overseas. I had people from Australia last time telling me that they find that the telephone companies and the TV companies and the utilities are super expensive here. So for example, I have a plan because of my work. I spend close to $200 a month with the plan, including the sales tax. So it's roughly 185 without the sales tax, 180 something. And I have 30 gigs, unlimited calling, unlimited text, unlimited. I have the voicemail, the caller ID, all the different features. But it's and I have an extra line. I have one extra line because I want to have my iPad connected to the internet. This is something that is comparing to, for example, people that I spoke to in certain countries. You can have that for very, very cheap. We're talking about some less than $50 a month. So that you can expect your cell phone plan to be actually more expensive than probably, well, if you're coming from somewhere in Canada, probably it's going to be as expensive. But if you're moving in from another country, then expect that to be actually a bad surprise, unfortunately. And it's the same for TV and internet. For example, I pay for my home internet, I paid $100 a month, and I have the 1 gigabit connection. Roughly 100, I think it's 110. The TV, I simply watch streaming. I don't watch TV directly from the cable, so I cannot compare with that. But I know that the TV service, when you bundle it with a home phone, with a internet and all that, it will be roughly another $150, $200 depending on the plans that you take and the speeds. And that is something that, again, in the comments, if you actually have any details, just send me an email, just text me, whatever way you want to get a hold of me. I'll be there to give you the more details about your specific situation. It's getting dark here. Sunset is around 7:30 and 7:41 now. So for sure the sun is already gone and it's getting dark here. So let me wrap it up. So I want to talk about also winter preparation. So you need to understand that winters here, they're getting shorter, but they're still very rough and very cold. So you can expect as of mid-December till early March that it's going to be super cold. So when it's about the temperature, my recommendation is really to get a super nice jacket, and that could cost between $700 and $1,000. So that's you need to understand that that's one of the costs that eventually you'll need to get ready for. These are something that can catch you by surprise. All the mittens, all the different gloves and different. All the winter gear, boots. You need a nice pair of boots too to keep your feet warm. So you're talking about something about $400, $500 if you go for the good ones. Obviously, when it comes to fashion and when it comes to clothes, there are different differences all the time. So you can expect actually to be able to shop for that, but you need to remember to actually get equipped with all that. Then healthcare, depending on your situation, healthcare for the first 3 months, you need to make sure that you have a protection because it takes about 3 months when you actually become a Quebec resident. Depending on your situation, that's something that if you have any questions in particular to that, we can discuss in private. But most of the time, for example, the basics for healthcare is covered by the government. However, there could be an extra fee that you need to pay for certain services. And for, let's say, special cares, like let's say physiotherapy, massotherapy, different osteopath, there could be different areas where actually you need to pay. For that, you can actually pay a private insurance. And I do have a private insurance for the family. I have a super good insurance that cost me for 4 people. I have 2 kids. My wife, everybody covered, is about $550 a month. Now I took that plan, but you don't need to go all out with the best plans. But there are different plans, and that's something that if you're actually curious to know for estimates, I can refer you to the people that actually can give you good information in regards to a precise amount. But something that you need to consider. That's why I'm mentioning it. Education, well, education could be complicated because it depends on your situation. So Elementary school and high school here are free, or there could be some fees for parascolar. It's talking about after school activities, so there could be some fees for that. So that's something that you may want to consider when you're actually planning on moving here. And it's getting super dark. All the lights are on. The lights, in the park, they started to turn on. I do have lights in the car. I don't know if I should pull them out. But anyways, this is almost over. So bear with me. The education, you can have private schools that it could cost you upwards of $15,000 a year for high school. You can have universities for international students that can go all the way up to $25,000 a year. You have, but let's talk about a resident from here. It's going to be between $1,000 and $200 for the CJEP, which is the step before university when you actually follow the curriculum of, high school, CJEP, which is college, and then university for undergraduate degree. So if you follow that curriculum, it could cost you between $1,000 and $200 per semester, depending on which school you go to. Then university will cost you between $3,000 and $8,000, depending on what you're studying per year. So that's something that you need to consider if you're actually thinking of going to university. For international students, obviously, is 3 times the price, roughly. So you need to consider that, 3 times the price. I know that elementary schools, I think they're free, even for international students. But I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think for high schools, actually, there is the same fee as for college, more or less. But that's something that we can discuss, and actually I can give you more information on your precise situation. Just reach out to me anytime. Daycares. So if it's subsidized, you're gonna be paying about $9 a day for a subsidized daycare. If it's not subsidized, you can expect to pay between $30 and $60 a day for daycare. That's something that you need to consider if you're going to be busy at work, busy at the office, and you have young children. They can take care of daycare for you on daycares, but it will depend if it's a subsidized daycare or not. I think it's a little bit better. Well, I just had to boost the camera settings because it's getting so dark here. I had a huge day, busy day. But anyways, this is what happens, and just we have to do this. This I do it for you. So I simply want you to have the best experience and to help you the most when you're moving to Montreal. And if you need a realtor, you know where to call. So my last point is really my 2 cents into all this. My 2 cents are, depending on your budget, seeing my personal experience, I cannot talk to your experience, but my personal experience is, if you have a monthly budget, careful with those elements when you go get debt. For example, when you add 1 car, 2 cars, credit card here, in-ground swimming pool there. Oh, I need to repair the roof there, let's finance it. So my opinion, and something that is actually very often discussed in the media, is debt. Is the fact that we all of a sudden we spend ahead of our budget, and that's something that actually could be a huge trigger for some stress that if we plan properly, in talking from experience, I had to learn it the hard way. So if we plan properly, is something that actually we can avoid, and actually we can have a good lifestyle for our income and our desires. And don't forget, entertainment here. I mean, this park, people were playing cricket, and this park Montreal is built in a way that is so outdoor oriented. Even though we have 2 months of rough winter, it's like people here, that's one of the things that I saw when I first arrived to Montreal. It's like people are outdoors all the time. Park here, park there. 5,000 acres of parks. I mean, there are 300 just in the North Island of Laval. 300 and something parks. So it's green everywhere. So this is early spring now. It's starting to be super nice. People driving by, walking their dogs, it's riding their bicycle. It's super nice here. So everything is outdoors. It's like people love that, and I love it too. And I hope you actually found value in some of the things that I said. Again, I wanted to give you a general overview from a father. Also, I was younger when I arrived here, single. A lot of things changed. But when it comes to the cost of living, just be aware that there are all the factors that I discussed in the video that you need to actually consider and adapt to your situation. That's why I didn't want to give you specific numbers. I gave you some percentages, but it's essential that actually you decide which one is the one that applies to you. And if you need my support into actually making the proper decisions of where to live, depending on whatever budget you want to have in the beginning of when you arrive. My situation when I arrive is nowhere near now that I am 20 years after I arrived. So, but I went through all these phases, so I can really help you whatever scenario you are. Maybe I can give you some valuable advice, and then you apply it if it's something that applies and that is of value to you. So, if you like this content and you're thinking of moving to Montreal, subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting one video per week minimum, and I'll be exploring all the neighborhoods here, and you're gonna love it. So subscribe, leave me a comment if you like it, leave me a comment if you want me to give you any extra information, something for content in the future that you'd like to see. I'm open to pretty much all suggestions. So with that being said, have a fantastic day.